Welcome to SLMA Radio.
Okay.
I am Jim Obermayer, your host, coming to you on behalf of the 8,450 worldwide members of the SLMA. SLMA Radio is a syndicated show, and our archives 245 shows and 345 executive interviews. Our producer is Paul Roberts. We're coming live to you from Costa Mesa, California. Our producer for our Google Hangout is Susan Finch. These programs are available for at-work listeners. You may subscribe to our shows through iTunes and Stitcher Radio. We've got a special program today because we have Stephen Liguori, who's the CEO of the BMA, correct, Stephen?
Mm-hmm.
And we've got Maag, the Executive Director. And the reason for our show today is to talk about the October 17th merger between the BMA and the ANA, and why the BMA saw fit. They're the largest organization, they're the largest BM and oldest business-to-business organization in the country, why they went ahead and merged with the ANA. I think it's a good idea, but I thought we'd do our little 25-minute hangout and radio program and talk a little bit about that. Now, Stephen, why don't you give us your background? What do you do other than just the BMA work?
Yeah, thanks, Jim, and a pleasure to be here to talk about BMA and our joining with the Association of National Advertisers. What I do, other than my BMA, which I sometimes call lovingly my pro bono day job, is I'm the founder and CEO of a firm I've started called Liguori Innovation. And what it is it's a small group of consultants. We help large organizations act like startups but scale like the big Fortune 500 companies they are, and we help startups understand how they can bring goods and services, new products, because they don't understand big companies either. Okay. And prior to that, for the last several years, I was the director of global innovation at General Electric, which is exactly how I got involved in the BMA.
Okay. And Al, you've been the executive director, and you've been the CEO of the BMA. What's your background?
I've been involved with the BMA for about a decade, and I was at BMA, which is the largest technology distributor in the world, about $26 billion, and I was their chief communications officer. It was a wonderful job, and but now I'm retired for the last 18 months or so, and I started up a nonprofit agency doing PR and marketing for nonprofits. And BMA is a nonprofit organization, and they were kind enough to say, hey, look, you know, been around this is a journey for a while. I'd like to help out and be the executive director, and it's been my pleasure.
What was the reasoning behind this merger of the BMA with the ANA, Stephen?
Yeah, let me take a shot at that. We actually for the last several years on the board of the BMA, we're considering new ideas to, let's say, basically take us to the next level. What could our future be? How could we fulfill what we saw as the dream and the promise and the vision of the BMA? And coincidentally, in April or May of last year, just before I became chairman, we got a contact from Bob Liodice, who's the chairman and CEO of the ANA. He contacted Eduardo Coronado, who's been on our board, who's at the time was the CMO of Motorola Yep. Solutions. He's also the predecessor to myself. I think actually, Al, he was between you and me as chairman of the BMA. And he said, I got this interesting call from the ANA. They'd like to talk to us about possibly merging. We said, geez, we're looking for our future. What are we going to do? So I will tell you the biggest reason why we got together, and then I can come back and certainly elaborate it, is what the ANA said to us is, hey, look, we have 1,600 member companies. We have, I believe the numbers around 165 of those member companies are exclusively B2B companies. And you know what? We have virtually no content and expertise to share with them. Right. You guys are the experts. In fact, we are really the only go-to people if you care about B2B professional marketing expertise. We'd like to get together. And what made it such an intriguing call is, as soon as we learned about the ANA's commitment to excellence and world-class services, and they really do run a world-class operation, our biggest need at the BMA was a combination of A, reach, you know, how do we get new members and expand ourselves, and then B, how do we improve our, for lack of a better word, I'm going to call it, say, operations or back offices. And the ANA just runs a wonderful machine there. And so it automatically, it just, not automatically, but I'd say instantly, almost seemed like too good of an offer to not look into. So we looked into it, and here we are.
Was this a purchase of the ANA, purchasing the BMA?
It actually, from a legal standpoint, yes, it was an asset purchase of the assets of the Business Marketing Association, and what we are now is we are a division of the ANA. The BMA is and will continue to operate independently in the sense that we are in charge of our own brand and our own destiny, but of course we now do it in conjunction with the executives and the wonderful team at the ANA.
Yes, that was my second question. Will the BMA remain independent? I can remember some groups through the years that were scooped up and became part of the Direct Marketing Association, and they were supposed to be B2B and remain independent, and suddenly within 2 years they disappeared. Their conference, 1,500 people a year, disappeared, and they have really no longer any B2B to speak of.
Well, we went through that with our board, with our members. We have chapters. There's a tremendous number of benefits that we bring to the ANA in addition to the ANA bringing benefits to the BMA. So it really was a marriage of very much mutual interest. And in fact, I can tell you, Bob Leodis and I have gotten to know each other extremely well. As he told me and as he told the board, if we were looking to purchase the assets of the BMA and then just absorb you into the ANA, what on earth would we go through the whole, the hassle, the expense, and everything to go do it? The whole reason is they're looking to expand marketing expertise. We particularly have the marketing expertise in this wonderful niche known as B2B.
Yes.
We were looking for the ability to get expertise to help us scale and provide additional professional services, and we flat out just didn't have the scale to go do that. So it really is this wonderful combination of teams that's going to, we think, take us to that point. We're planning our global conference, which is the end of May every year in Chicago, and they're continuing to plan the Masters of Marketing, which is in Orlando every year in October. So we actually see those now as kind of are going to be the tent pole events, one predominantly B2C and one predominantly B2B.
Will you be in the Orlando program too? Will your people be there?
I certainly see us having a role in the Orlando program. I quite honestly don't see it being a major role, simply because that's where the ANA is going to come together and talk predominantly to its membership, no different than what we're going to do at our conference at the last week of May in Chicago, where the ANA will have a role, of course, but that is exclusively really meant to be about B2B and the BMA talking to its membership.
Well, I know they say they've got 630 member companies representing 10,000 brands, $250 billion in marketing spend, which I actually think the B2B is actually bigger than that, unless I'm wrong, and 160 B2B market member companies representing 12,000 marketers. So it certainly is it seems to be a pretty good marriage.
SLMA Live is an internet radio broadcasting station dedicated to broadcasting programs in the business-to-business arena. Have you considered hosting your own internet radio program? It's easier than a webinar, has greater reach and listenership than a webinar. Internet radio is a content generation machine to reach at-work listeners. For information about hosting your own program on slmalive.com, contact our producer, Jim Obermayer, at 360-933-1259, or visit our website, slmalive.com.
Tell us more about the ANA and what you think you can really bring to it. How are you going to bring the BMA expertise to those member companies that are so strongly in the B2B area but belong to the ANA? Are they going to have co-memberships? If I join the BMA again, will I have a co-membership with the ANA and vice versa?
You're asking all the questions we're literally working out as we're speaking. So we announced the merger at the Masters of Marketing in mid-October. We did the legal combination of the legal entities on December 1st, and we actually combined operations on January 1st. So as we sit here today, we're literally like 31 days into the new relationship for the rest of our combined existence. So what I can tell you is we're going to move through how to complement the membership benefits for the members of both the BMA and the ANA. We're going to move through how we're going to complement the fact that we have chapters. The ANA doesn't actually have chapters. We have about, and I would be an expert to speak on this, but we have about 16 chapters across the United States, and we're looking into international chapters. So we have a local footprint on the ground where people can network, share expertise, and really build a local community. So that's a real asset we bring to the ANA. And the ANA has the ability to complement what we already do in terms of member education, member programs, things of that nature. So we actually expect a fair amount of commingling of, let's say, assets and expertise, but still maintaining separate brands in terms of what the ANA brings from consumer marketing expertise and what the BMA is going to bring in terms of B2B expertise. So that's a little bit of a long-winded answer, but many combinations, but specifics like what does your membership get in ANA and versus the BMA, those all have to get worked out, and we will work those out over the next month or two.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if what happens with that membership, because in some companies it may make sense. Now, I see that you've got 2,500 members of the BMA, and you've struggled through the years, and I've been a member of the BMA for many years when it had a lot fewer members, and it didn't have a real premier conference. When every year there are 150 people would show up and just kind of slap each other's back and then go off, and it was kind of a good old boy conference. And now, boy, you get 1,000 members there. You've got real programs. You've got some exhibits and some exhibitors that show up, and it's a real serious conference every year. Once you get over 500, you're in the big time. Now, is that going to be run out of the ANA headquarters as well as the back office?
Well, I mean, you're talking about where we're rolling that now. I mean, we were just on the phone earlier, actually not early this week, but last week talking about the conference. So we are still in charge of our conference. This is our key tentpole event for the year. And having said that, we very much are leveraging and accessing the expertise that the ANA has to offer. They've just been wonderful partners to date, saying, how can we help? Where can we help? What do you have handled? And we're going to stay out of your way. And where could we offer assistance? And we're going to help you on some of that stuff. So we're learning our way into all those things right now as we speak. And one of the things, for instance, we've done is we're working through. We're going to invite a fair number of ANA companies who are the B2B companies in the ANA. So we're going to invite them to come to the conference because we want them to experience BMA. Now, if you're already, I can tell you a couple of things about the membership. If you're already a member of the ANA, you can access the benefits of the BMA because it pretty much is an all-you-can-eat menu. So if your company's already in the ANA, congratulations, you can now join the BMA. We have to work logistics out, like does that mean you can join the Chicago chapter versus the LA chapter or something like that. So those specifics. But we can also tell you if you're a member of the BMA, you're going to at least get some access to ANA memberships, not a full ANA membership, but if you're a member of the BMA, so it's only a win no matter which side you're coming to the table from.
Well, BMA primarily has individual memberships, correct?
Correct.
And not corporate memberships?
That is correct. We have a very limited corporate membership program only because we just started it about 3 years ago. Yeah, historically the BMA has been you join as an individual, you happen to belong to your company, whereas historically the ANA, you joined obviously as a member company, not as an individual.
And the dues for the BMA are?
Dues right now, Al, help me if I got this right, I believe it's $185 as an individual member, plus if you choose to join a local chapter, whatever those local chapter dues are, which range usually between an additional $50 or $75. Al, you
for me, up here in Washington, I'm so far north, my closest chapter is probably 300 miles away. So.
Probably so. So you would probably join simply as an individual member, and about a third of our members do not associate with a chapter because there is no chapter within hundreds of miles. Now, having said that, one of the things we're going to be bringing up at our first combined board meeting at the end of February is what can we do for chapter expansion? I mean, we've got a wonderful chapter model. We never had the resources to expand that model. Now, in working with the ANA, we're going to get our heads together and say, what can we do to open up more chapters?
So, as an individual member, if I go ahead and join, we've got 8,500 members. They're worldwide members. 87% are in the U.S., and the rest are international. So what do our 6,000 members, what can our 6,000 members do? Many of them are undoubtedly BMA members, but the ones that aren't, how do they join, and what are they really going to get for their $185 a year? Is it just access to the website, education, discounts for the national program? What else can they expect?
Al, Al, why don't you, you're pretty steeped in all the benefits. Why don't you jump in here?
Sure. Number one, I want to echo what Steve said. The fact that we can work with ANA going forward, they are going to give us far more for the. If you paid $185 back in June, this June you're going to have far more benefits than you ever had for that same $185. This is a big deal. I almost put it on the fact that they're going to put our membership on steroids. This is going to be a big help when it comes to content. In the past, if you were a BMA member, I would say the majority of our folks are in chapters, in local areas. I'm usually the oldest one that shows up at these events, and I learn something all the time. And one of the best benefits of BMA is that networking, that local relationship. And I can tell you, when I first got involved with this, they ended up doing so much more when it comes to getting friends from it, vendors from it, establish relationships and partnerships with people. And that's what I think the benefit of BMA is. I don't think ANA does that right now, and I think they're intrigued by the chapter model. Should they be doing more things on a local basis, on a consistent basis, not once in a while, but consistently? Because the majority of our chapters all meet once a month or every other month.
Right.
And, some of these chapters are 500-600 people, and others have about 50 people. But generally, this consistent getting together is the real payback. That's why I'm still involved in BMA. In fact, I got involved starting the chapter in Phoenix, and I can tell you some of those folks are some of my best friends. So I think the folks at ANA are looking at that and going, this could be a great addition to the value they present to their constituents. In the past, we had very good research from a forum group. We had a variety of different other tactics. We had regional events that actually got more people than our national event, which attracts about 1,000 people. Our regional events attract about 1,500 people. We've even tried some of them overseas as well. And I would just say the real benefit is really the speakers. We have been able to accomplish getting some of the best speakers in the world when it comes to B2B. And it's appreciated by our membership. And that's where they learn from it. Now, with getting the ANA involved, I think the ball game changes. They have the resources of webinars and more events, and they actually created a B2B marketer publication that is just coming out as we speak. So this kind of helps replace that void when B2B magazine went away. So now we're going to have our own publication. In fact, Eduardo Conrado from Motorola is on the cover of it. And I think they're going to be able to provide us far more resources than we were ever going to be able to do. So, again, I would just say, in general, our folks are going to be able to get more value from their investment than ever before.
I think you've certainly answered the question. I was alarmed a little bit when I heard that it was merged because I thought it was going to disappear. And
no, there's no expectation at all for it to disappear. Only get stronger. Otherwise, it would not have made sense for either side to do this.
And even the chapter model came under fire over 6 or 8 years, and so many organizations stopped chapters because nobody was coming. But now is the time. You outlasted the recession, and it sounds like it's time the chapters reawakened, and speakers show up live, and breakfasts and lunches and dinners. Now, how does someone join the BMA and the ANA?
Let me go back to your point. That you're talking about people weren't coming. I think people were coming. What happens is, as Steve has affectionately said, we've had a volunteer army forever. And those volunteers who are our leaders, and they change every year, that is not always easy to maintain. And I think with this new added excitement here, I think we can have some new blood come in and help us out, and the resources. We've been able to add more resources even before ANA in the last 12 months than we have ever. So I think we're going to make it easier for our folks to consistently have these type of meetings to bring more people together.
I think the BMA has really survived the that recessionary period where so many other organizations just got out of the local chapter business, and you survived it. You stuck with it, and I think it's going to really pay off for you. Now, how does someone join the BMA and the ANA, and then we'll have to sign off, gentlemen?
It's quite easy. You can join the first, to join the ANA, your organization needs to join. They still at this point, and at least for the foreseeable future, will not have individual memberships per se. So an individual can join the BMA by going to the website, attending a local meeting that you might get invited to, or you can also go to your organization and say, how about we go buy a corporate membership? You can buy a corporate membership and get 10, 25, or 50 memberships included. So there's actually 3 different ways you can join on the BMA. I'd go to the website, which is marketing.org. Very easy to see. Learn about the BMA, a little bit about the ANA, and come on board.
I've spoken a lot of chapters and have attended a lot of meetings through the years. I started in Chicago back in a long time ago, and was a chapter in LA for a long period of time. Gentlemen, you've been very gracious with your time, and I know getting connected from Europe has been a bit of a hassle. We've got Al Maag, our executive director, and Stephen Liguori, chairman of the BMA today, and our subject was really about the merger between the Business Marketing Association and the ANA, and we see that the BMA is going to have a long, healthy life, and it's a great, great combination with the ANA. Thank you, gentlemen, very much, and thank you, Susan Finch, our producer.
Our pleasure.
Of this program today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Al.